Excellencies, distinguished delegates, we shall now open the floor for statements from delegations wishing to speak on the agenda item 7, policy debate on issues pertaining to regional economic cooperation and integration in Asia and the Pacific. I'd like to remind all speakers to help maintain the discipline of the 5-minute time allocation so that all delegations may have enough time to deliver their statements. In case delegations have longer statements, they may deliver a summary, while the full text can be shared through the Commission website. The first speaker on my list this afternoon is His Excellency Mr. Ipa Tuioti, Minister of Finance of Samoa. I give you the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Ministers, Excellencies. I would like to, first of all, thank the Executive Secretary of ESCAP and the staff of ESCAP for the opportunity to participate at the second Ministerial Conference on Regional Economic Cooperation and Integration. This conference and the discussions have significant relevance to Samoa and all Pacific countries. As the current chair for the Pacific Islands Forum Economic Ministers meeting, I will briefly highlight some experiences in the Pacific on regional economic cooperation and integration. At the outset, I would like to underscore the critical importance of regional approaches to ensuring prosperity and closer relations among countries to achieve common development goals. Pacific countries are large ocean states, and we rely heavily on the goodwill and the connections we have among ourselves to meet our development needs. The Pacific countries believe that regional economic cooperation and integration is critical in achieving many, if not all, of our development goals, as well as the ambitions of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Specifically, given the acute capacity constraints, both in terms of human and financial resources, faced by smaller island states in the Pacific, regional economic cooperation and integration provides the opportunity to share resources and foster a sense of common destiny and mutual belonging amongst Pacific people. Regional resources and programs therefore play a vital role in achieving the SDGs, while at the same time complementing the priority development goals and aspirations. We therefore attest to the importance and benefits of cooperation and integration with other countries in the region, as well as beyond. We also strongly believe that RECI is crucial for the delivery of regional public goods, as well as strengthening of domestic capacity to achieve both national and international development goals or targets. The Pacific Islands Forum leaders have supported regional cooperation and integration over the years as an important agenda. They believe that it has huge potential to enhance economic growth, as well as lifting the social economic development outcomes of the Pacific economies and people. Recently, through the framework of Pacific regionalism, our leaders have renewed their commitment to provide political support and oversight towards stronger regional economic cooperation and integration. Through the process of the framework of Pacific regionalism, the Forum leaders have called for concerted efforts and initiatives to foster deeper regionalism. Importantly, this process empowers the Pacific people to own the regional development agenda and hence chart a course for the region which the people believe could lead to better development outcomes and improve livelihoods using initiatives tailored to the Pacific context. Pacific Island Forum leaders fully understand and appreciate that trade and finance flows are two crucial means of implementation of the SDGs, as well as to generate jobs and incomes, reduce poverty, and foster sustainable and inclusive economic growth and development for Pacific economies. They have therefore endorsed key regional initiatives, such as improved mobility and standardization of business processes, as well as specific direction for the swift conclusion of regional trade agreements which are currently being negotiated. Furthermore, through incentives and by virtue of the closer economic and diplomatic relations, including through the efforts of the Pacific Trade and Invest Networks, which has an office in Beijing, Pacific countries are witnessing increased level of investments, improved connectivity, and movement of people, goods and services, both within the region and between Pacific countries and the Asian regions. Such developments are integral in improving the region's ability to achieve the goals of Agenda 2030 for sustainable development. Another key element of regional economic cooperation and integration is increasing economic and social cooperation to address shared vulnerabilities and risks. For Pacific economies, this relates to the negative impacts of climate change and natural disasters, which are very common in our region. Even though the Pacific economies are marginal contributors to global climate change, they are at the front line of experiencing its ugly and destructive impacts. In recent years, we have witnessed how a single catastrophic natural disaster could have significant negative impact on Pacific economies. Apart from seeking global assistance to deal with this challenge, Pacific countries, through regional approaches, have come up with innovative ways and have made significant progress in some of these initiatives. This includes the establishment of the Pacific Catastrophe Risk Assessment and Financing Facility, made possible with the generous support of our development partners, especially the World Bank, to provide insurance in the event of natural disasters. There is also discussion among the Pacific countries to set up a Pacific Resilience Fund to support greater investment in improved preparedness and recovery to build resilience of infrastructure, build better coping mechanisms for minimizing impacts of global economic shocks, to support long-term resilient development efforts, and to support dedicated capacity building and supplementation for Forum Island countries to develop projects and access technical advice. Such regional initiatives are crucial in ensuring resilience of the peoples and economies to the impacts of climate change and natural disasters. Before I conclude, let me acknowledge China's Belt and Road Initiative, which in our view is a key economic landscape that will help foster enhanced cooperation and integration between Asia and the Pacific regions. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I now give the floor to Mr. Namoliki Nimia from Tuvalu, Minister for Home Affairs and Rural Development.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank Madam Executive Secretary of ESCAP, Dr. Shamshed Akhtar, and the staff of ESCAP for this opportunity to participate at the second Ministerial Conference on Regional Economic Cooperation and Integration. This conference and the discussion have significant importance to Tuvalu and other Pacific countries, and I would like to associate Tuvalu with what has been said by the Honorable Minister of Finance from Samoa, who is the current chairman of the Forum Economic Ministers meeting. As a small, low-lying atoll nation, we are heavily dependent on the ocean. Therefore, we would like to see more recognition given to ocean and fisheries in our regional economic cooperation agenda. We say that in this conference, because the oceans and fisheries is a resource that is common to all of us and is of particular interest to many of the ASEAN economies. A good example of regional cooperation in the Pacific for purpose of delivering regional public goods is in fisheries, namely the parties to the Nauru Agreement, which was set up by 8 Pacific countries to manage tuna fisheries in the Pacific. It has led to a 4-fold increase in fisheries revenue for the members, as well as to better manage management of the tuna stock through licensing. While Tuvalu has integrated trade policy into our national development strategy, we do recognize that in reality, there will always be winners and losers, no matter how good a trade liberalization arrangement is. We are concerned with the findings presented at this meeting that while overall GDP growth has increased as a result of increased regional trade, inequality has also increased. We know that the latter is especially true in the case of least developed countries like Tuvalu, where there is persistent lack of capacity to mobilize resources to exploit new economic opportunities created by the increased liberalization. Tuvalu therefore calls on ESCAP and the Asia-Pacific region to carefully consider the plea of LDCs and SIDs within our region in future trade integration efforts. Tuvalu has been at the forefront of advocating for climate change action and was active in the COP23 in supporting Fiji's presidency and focusing very much on the loss and damage that small and vulnerable countries like Tuvalu faces. The increased focus at COP23 on access to climate funds and insurance cover is appreciated, but we do need to ensure that the specific needs of the smaller and vulnerable countries like mine are not left behind. That is why Tuvalu has been proactive within the Pacific sub-region and the UN Intergovernmental Forum to promote a more tailored approach to climate change and disaster insurance for small island economies and to protect the rights of communities and islanders displaced by climate change and natural disasters. An example of Tuvalu's commitment to this is the establishment of the Tuvalu Climate Change and Disaster Development Fund. Building the capacity and resilience of our people, including through education and training, is a high priority, and we have set up a special scholarship fund to ensure that our young people receive adequate opportunities to advance in their education and training. Tuvalu is pleased that enhancing the quality of education is again prioritized under the Pacific Roadmap for Sustainable Development as an issue requiring a regional or pooling approach. Indeed, this is an area where the Pacific has met with much success in its regional cooperation agenda. The University of the South Pacific is a regional university owned by 12 Pacific countries, which provides tertiary and professional education to Pacific countries since its establishment in 1968. Apart from providing those of us without national tertiary institutions with world-class education, USP is a fertile ground for building friendship and enduring networks for future Pacific Island leaders from across the Pacific and the world. USP is also a great example of the utility of ICT in providing essential services to the sub-region. With its world-class ICT facilities, USP is able to deliver much of its teaching and outreach programs live to its member countries, reducing the need to travel to Fiji, Vanuatu, and Samoa for lessons. For a remote and vulnerable island economy like Tuvalu, the use of ICT is essential for strengthening our response capacity to climate change and natural disasters. So we welcome the priority given to this under the RECI declaration and the cooperation that ESCAP needs to improve with the South Pacific Regional Environment Program and the WMO located in Samoa. Our isolation for Pacific sub-region means any potential gains from trade liberation are easily outweighed by high trade costs, including in transportation, which was noted by the Executive Secretary this morning as the highest in the Asia Pacific. We are therefore encouraged by the commitment within the RECI agenda to promote seamless connection in transportation. Finally, Chairman and Madam Executive Secretary, Tuvalu is proud to have chaired the last commission and look forward to continuing cooperation with ESCAP in the implementation of the SDGs and the further promotion of regional economic cooperation in Asia, Pacific, and in the Pacific sub-region. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your statement, sir. I now give the floor to Dr. Harsadesh Silva, Deputy Minister, Ministry of National Policies and Economic Affairs in Sri Lanka.
Mr. Chair, Executive Secretary of ESCAP, Excellencies, fellow delegates. At the outset, I extend Sri Lanka's appreciation to the Executive Secretary of ESCAP and her team for organizing this conference in an efficient and effective manner. Mr. Chairman, undoubtedly with your experience and skill, our discussions will be conducted to a fruitful conclusion by agreeing on meaningful ways of achieving the common objective of regional prosperity. My delegation is thankful to the Thai government for the warm hospitality afforded. Mr. Chairman, Sri Lanka is committed to supporting the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, together with the related regional roadmap. Sri Lankan government is presently pursuing a policy of good governance and effective fiscal management. Such application not only improves long-term economic prospects, but also facilitates coping with social and environmental concerns which could be of relevance to the entire region. Sri Lanka is well on course in achieving the SDGs by 2030 by working towards the provision of basic needs of its people, progressive alleviation of poverty, elimination of all forms of discrimination and inequalities, and nurturing a society based on social justice and human security. The economic policy of the government is ensconced in a journey for sustainable development. This policy aims to develop an economy that will promote the distribution of the benefits of development among all, culminating in sustained growth. Mr. Chairman, the Sri Lankan government's commitment to this end has been manifestly reflected by the separate ministry on the subject being established. Our parliament has recently approved the Sri Lanka Sustainable Development Act, providing the legal framework for developing and implementing policies and strategies for this purpose. We have a parliamentary select committee on SDGs comprising key ministries involved to direct and guide the processes of government in their implementation. In addition, a coordinating secretariat under the Presidential Secretariat has also been established to coordinate all stakeholders. The Ministry of Sustainable Development has appointed national focal points from all ministries to coordinate the related activities, while the Department of Census and Statistics of Sri Lanka has published baseline data for each SDG target. Mr. Chairman, I take this opportunity to outline Sri Lanka's progress in the 4 areas of regional economic cooperation and integration identified by the Bangkok Declaration of 2013. Firstly, in regional market integration, Sri Lanka firmly believes that an outward-oriented strategy is the means to achieve a more inclusive socio-economic growth to the prosperity of the Sri Lankan people. Towards this end, the national trade policy has been evolved, being an important way forward towards outward orientation. Prior to this initiative, the government of Sri Lanka ratified the Trade Facilitation Agreement in last year. This was to respond to the urgent need of reforming the country's trade policies and practices in order to create a more business-friendly environment, promote private sector growth, and utilize Sri Lanka's strategic location by being an economic hub in the Indian Ocean. This would facilitate foreign direct investment and integration into global value chains, which are catalysts for economic growth. Further, the national export strategy of Sri Lanka is being implemented from October this year with a vision of Sri Lanka, an export hub driven by innovation and investment. In the past, Sri Lanka has been slow to integrate its economy with bilateral and regional economic cooperation agreements. However, currently, the policy attention has vastly shifted towards seeking out such mechanisms. We are progressing in negotiating FTAs with China and Singapore, and will also commence with Thailand and Malaysia. An economic and technical cooperation agreement with India is presently under negotiation. Such a legal framework provides investor confidence and therefore has become integral in our national trade policy. Further, the government target is to move up the ease of doing business ranking to be within the top 70 economies by 2020. Sri Lanka, being a recipient of the GSP Plus benefit from the European Union, also presents a factor for integration in economic cooperation. Mr. Chairman, the area of regional-wide seamless connectivity, improving sea and airports, and their access have much potential in improving connectivity between South and Southeast Asia. The Colombo port is one of the most important elements in relation to the concept of corridor development because it is the most directly connected port with the South Asian and Southeast Asian trade routes. With the One Belt, One Road initiative, the Colombo port will be on this vital route. The Colombo port has been recently expanded to become a deep water hub port with the capacity to berth the largest container ships. The newly built deepwater Hambantota port, which is close to the east-west sea lane, is also an ideal location for becoming a commercial hub with great potential to support export industries. An industrial park in close proximity to the port has been earmarked for this purpose. Bunkering facilities available at this port will be a catalyst in enhancing naval transportation between east and west. Mr. Chairman, regional financial cooperation is an important component in regional economic cooperation. The lack of finances for development has become a major impediment to the growth of many developing countries in the Asia-Pacific region. The lack of financial sophistication has led to an outflow of savings from the region, much to the disadvantage of its developing countries, which are competing for financial resources for development in international capital markets. The proposed Colombo Financial City will pave the way for Sri Lanka to become a prominent financial hub in the region. While appreciating the regional financial support, Sri Lanka has taken several steps to develop its capital market while promoting public-private partnerships. A new public-private partnership division has been set up by the Ministry of Finance, which is making preliminary arrangements to secure investments with private sector engagement for planning, implementation, financing, and maintenance of certain infrastructure assets owned by the state agencies. Mr. Chairman, issues of climate change and unexpected weather-related disasters have increased, which is a serious issue to be addressed across the region. Addressing shared vulnerabilities and coping with these risks through sharing of experience is vitally important in disaster mitigation within the region. Island nations such as Sri Lanka are becoming more vulnerable to climate change. The impacts of recent weather-related disasters and climate change have seriously set back the achievements of development targets which were set for key sectors, which include agriculture, fisheries, and even services such as tourism. Significant amount of resources had to be allocated for disaster recovery and management in the recent past in Sri Lanka. While appreciating the magnanimous gestures of the regional and wider regional countries, the necessity of an Asia-Pacific database which would improve the region's facilities for sharing information, innovations, and technologies to address issues of climate change need to be highlighted. My delegation believes that ESCAP could play a facilitatory role towards this end, particularly through capacity building programs. ESCAP can also assist in transforming a national statistical system and related data infrastructures where necessary for comparable purposes of statistics relevant to economic cooperation and integration. Mr. Chairman, in conclusion, I emphasize that Sri Lanka will serve as an equal partner in our journey in achieving the UN 2030 agenda and looks forward to concerted cooperation towards this end through the provision of financial and technical support by all stakeholders. In this context, Sri Lanka supports in principle the outcome document of this ministerial conference and looks forward to further continued constructive discussions on the related issues. At this juncture, I also wish to acknowledge the valuable contribution of ESCAP to this ever more important subject of regional economic cooperation and integration. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now give the floor to Mr. Rolando Tungpalan, who is the Undersecretary of the National Economic and Development Authority in the Philippines.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, let me congratulate ESCAP and the ADB for convening the second Ministerial Conference on Regional Economic Cooperation and Integration, coming shortly after the successful 31st ASEAN Summit meeting in Manila, which also coincided with our commemorating 50 years of ASEAN. As you may know, the Manila meetings included the leaders of 7 dialogue partners, namely Japan, China, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the US, plus the European Union and the UN Secretary General. I should also mention that the ASEAN Business Advisory Council complemented the governmental meetings with its equally successful ASEAN Business and Investment Summit, demonstrating the imperative of a strong collaborative partnership among business and private sector with government and among ASEAN members. This is synergy in action. My commendation also for the excellent arrangements and set of documents for this conference, including the report on enhancing regional economic cooperation and integration in Asia and the Pacific. As we are seeing greater evidence in the ASEAN of the immediate and long-term benefits of regional economic cooperation and integration, there is greater resolve to pursue deeper and more meaningfully economic cooperation and integration of Asia and the Pacific. ASEAN economy continues to post impressive growth. The Philippines itself posted a 6.9% GDP for the third quarter, well above market expectations and within the 6.5 to 7.5% target for the year. The agreements forged during the 31st ASEAN meeting will further deepen integration, particularly with respect to the ASEAN Economic Community, as measures to enhance people-to-people connectivity, infrastructure, trade, and investments are put in place. But as the conference reports have shown, while countries and sub-regions in Asia and Pacific have worked steadily to enhance RECI, progress has been uneven and the region's overall integration is still at a formative stage, as cited by Ms. Akhtar. We also take note of the discussions and presentations during the last 2 days of the senior official segment, which in my view have contributed substantially to a better understanding of the importance of RECI, but more importantly on the challenges and opportunities we face and the ways of moving forward, especially on the means of implementation, to achieve the benefits of RECI in a sustainable manner. A few points, however, need to be underscored. First, it is important to draw from evidence what works and what doesn't work in determining the House in fostering RECI and soliciting political support. Second, it is important to recognize the value of strong country ownership, where citizens recognize the benefits of RECI, essential to building a strong constituency in support of RECI. And thirdly, it is important to have in place an effective learning and sharing environment, including capacity development and mentoring, to scale up and speed up the pace of RECI. The 4 interrelated pillars of RECI remain relevant. The various regional and sub-regional initiatives to implement these pillars are now underway. The Philippines has been taking concrete steps, even leadership, in all aspects of these 4 pillars in ASEAN and at the regional and global levels, particularly on the SDGs, the Paris Agreement, Addis Ababa Accord on Financing for Development, among others. Our commitments are fully reflected in our current Philippine Development Plan and our Public Investment Program 2017 to 2022. It is our hope that the second Ministerial Conference will move from debate to action, coming up with a time-bound action plan and monitorable milestones. This should enable us not only to track progress, but also to take proactive steps to deal with uncertainties that may come in the way towards achieving the objectives of RECI and the SDGs, living in the world we want. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Tungpalan from the Philippines. I now give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Damdin Suren, State Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia. He is not in the room, so we go next to His Excellency Kuli Niogata, the High Commissioner from Fiji.
My delegation is unison with others applaud your unanimous appointment as chairman to preside over this meeting. Let me first state that the Fijian government is very supportive of ESCAP's ongoing connectivity and integration agenda, including the RECI agenda. Indeed, as has been expressed at various meetings this year, RECI and the 2030 agenda are mutually reinforcing processes and have to be pursued in a way that support each other. For Fiji, a small economy punching over its weight, it is very important for us to leverage such initiatives in order to remain a sustained growth path and remain relevant to the partnership for development movement across the globe. The Fijian economy is experiencing one of the best growth cycles since its independence and recorded its 6th year of consecutive growth from 2010 to 2015. Fiji recorded that year positive consecutive growth above 4%. The growth of 5.3% in 2014 was the largest experienced by the Fijian economy since 2001. The growth drivers have been the enabling environment for private sector growth created by government, commitment to structural reforms, and sustained private sector investment across service and infrastructure sectors respectively. In particular, initiatives by the government, including tax breaks and incentives and accommodative policies, have also played a part in higher levels of investment. This brings me the first pillar of RECI on market integration. Fiji now has a dedicated trade policy framework which will guide Fiji's trade, industry, investment, and economic agenda for the period 2015 to 2025. The Fijian Trade Policy Framework is an ambitious guiding policy document outlining policy measures and strategies and seeks to position Fiji as an internationally competitive, dynamic, and vibrant economy serving as the hub of the Pacific. The framework further facilitates the engagement of Fiji in bilateral, regional, and multilateral trade frameworks with a view to expanding and securing meaningful market access for Fiji's growing industrial base and integrate the Fijian economy into the global trading environment. However, we need to be mindful of the noodle bowl effect, which has again been raised in this meeting, that it does not negate our pursuit for deeper integration. In terms of seamless connectivity, Fiji has been embarking on major infrastructure developments, both hard and soft infrastructure, to enhance connectivity. This should improve our connectivity to the rest of the world and support the RECI focus on seamless connectivity of freer movement of people, goods, energy, and information. At the recent Belt and Road Forum in Beijing, Fiji's Prime Minister, in recognizing the potential of this initiative to enhance RECI, stated that for the last 10 years, Fiji has been following a growth path that underscores the importance of interconnectedness. We have borrowed big to undertake big infrastructure projects, and we are seeing big results. Our goal will not change, and among others, we hope to supply every Fijian household with safe drinking water by 2020 and generate 100% of our electricity with renewable resources by 2030. On enhancing financial cooperation, Fiji seeks greater cooperation to strengthen capacity building and promote cooperation on tax matters. This is integral to enhancing domestic resource mobilization, as tax collection remains our biggest source of revenue. As well, greater public-private partnership is needed to support the infrastructure development needs. The Fijian government recognized that infrastructure development is fundamental to the 2030 agenda, and in this regard, Fiji and indeed the Pacific can benefit from all cooperation modalities, including leveraging South-South, North-South, and triangular cooperation. In respect of shared vulnerabilities, Fiji and PCID's place as the most vulnerable region in the world continues to expose us to most forms of natural disasters. The biggest threat, of course, is posed by climate change. Our progress and future development are under siege from the greatest external threat facing our planet, the rising seas and severe weather events caused by climate change. This is already having devastating consequences for low-lying nations, the world over, including the Fijian people, who are suffering from some of the worst effects. Our shared vulnerability can be reduced if the global community implements the Paris Agreement fully. Equally, to attenuate the impact of natural disasters, there should be more regional cooperation on risk prevention and mitigation, monitoring an early warning system, improving our understanding of the sectoral impacts of natural disasters, and developing a regional action plan for multi-asset early warning system. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Your Excellency Gata from the Republic of Fiji. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Kirill Barsky, Ambassador from the Russian Federation to ESCAP.
Благодарю вас, господин председатель. Имею честь от имени посла Российской Федерации представить выступление Российской Федерации. Уважаемые участники конференции, мы бы хотели прежде всего отметить, что сегодня система международных отношений переживает один из наиболее острых кризисов современной истории. Попытки отдельных центров силы навязать свое видение идеальной демократии или идеальной экономической модели самым негативным образом влияют на глобальные экономические процессы, повышают риски в финансовой сфере, грозят фрагментацией торгово-экономических связей и в конечном итоге срывом усилий по реализации повестки Дня 2030. Однако сама жизнь, она убедительно свидетельствует, никакие отдельные национальные экономики, даже самые крупные, не в состоянии в одиночку регулировать процессы экономического развития. Решение системных проблем возможно только на основе совместных продуманных действий и выработки сбалансированных подходов в торговой и финансовой сферах. Мы считаем, что пора признать односторонние, а тем более дискриминационные меры не работают. Мир давно перестал быть однополярным, а исторический прогресс в развитии полноформатной, многосторонней экономической кооперации и интеграции, единственно способный обеспечить решение задач искоренения бедности и устойчивого развития, не остановить. О доминировании именно такого мнения среди стран нашего региона можно судить по итогам только что завершившегося саммита АТЭС в Дананге и Восточно-азиатского саммита в Маниле. Абсолютное большинство присутствовавших там лидеров государств твердо заявили о намерении продвигаться по пути углубления многостороннего партнерства, в интересах поддержания региональной безопасности, regional security, либерализации торговли и сбалансированного экономического взаимодействия, учитывающего приоритеты и специфику всех стран. Господин председатель, как крупнейшая евразийская держава с обширным дальневосточными территориями, обладающими значительными природными и научно-технологическим потенциалом, Россия заинтересована в успешном будущем Азиатско-Тихоокеанского региона. И мы способны внести значимую лепту в обеспечение устойчивого всеобъемлющего роста на всем его пространстве. contributing meaningfully. Ключевым инструментом решения этой задачи мы считаем эффективную экономическую интеграцию на принципах открытости и взаимной выгоды. И взаимной выгоды на базе универсальных принципов ВТО. Основой действенной стратегии интеграции призвано стать комплексное развитие всех элементов инфраструктуры региона, синергетическое сочетание усилий всех стран. Трансконтинентальное географическое положение России предоставляет уникальные возможности для решения этих задач. И нам есть что предложить партнерам ВТР. Например, комплекс реализуемых мер по модернизации Байкало-Амурской магистрали, Транссибирской магистрали, упростит формальные процедуры и позволит сократить до 7 суток время прохождения поездов по Транссибирской магистрали, которая составляет основу северного коридора Трансазиатской железной дороги. Между прочим, это почти в 2 раза быстрее, чем традиционный маршрут через Суэц. Мы также не можем не отметить достижение нашего стратегического партнерства с Китаем. В частности, подписанный летом этого года российско-китайский меморандум о сотрудничестве в области развития международных транспортных коридоров. Приморье-1, Приморье-2. С Японией крупным проектом инфраструктурного взаимодействия у нас должен стать транспортный переход между Сахалином и Хоккайдо. Мы также принимаем активное участие в развитии таких важных международных транспортных коридоров, как север-юг, восток-запад, в создании нового маршрута для международных автомобильных перевозок. Европа, Западный Китай. По причине обострения обстановки на Корейском полуострове, мы знаем, затормозились переговоры по соединению Транссибирской магистрали и Транскорейской железной дороги. Но вопрос сохраняет свою актуальность. Конечно, мы большие надежды связываем с реализацией подписанного на Московской конференции министров транспорта ESCAP межправительственного соглашения между Россией, Китаем и Монголией о международных автомобильных перевозках по азиатским автомобильным дорогам. Россия активно развивает энергетическую структуру. Мощность трубопровода Восточная Сибирь, Тихий океан, который был заложен в 2009 году, сегодня доведена до 58 миллионов тонн. И это важный задел для того, чтобы помочь обеспечить растущие потребности наших соседей в энергоресурсах. Совместно с китайскими партнерами идет строительство крупнейшей газовой магистрали «Сила Сибири». Оно свяжет месторождение Якутии со странами Азиатско-Тихоокеанского региона. На востоке мы развиваем производство сжиженного газа. Кстати, это экологически значительно более чистое топливо. Активно сотрудничаем со странами региона в области атомной энергетики. Все это крупные масштабные проекты, которые являются гарантами энергобезопасности в регионе и достижения целей повестки 2030. И мы настроены на реализацию новых проектов, которые будут способствовать интеграции в ESCAP. В зоне нашего особого внимания энергетическое суперкольцо, которое объединило бы Россию, Китай, Японию, Республику Корея и стало бы мощным интегратором экономик Северо-Восточной Азии. Реализация вышеперечисленных проектов создала бы прочный фундамент для выведения торгово-экономического сотрудничества в регионе на качественно новый уровень. Господин председатель, рискует оказаться немножко длинным в нашем выступлении. Тем не менее, на министерской конференции мы не можем не отметить и такие важные составляющие сотрудничества, как Евразийский экономический союз, членами которого являются Россия, Казахстан, Киргизстан, Белоруссия, Армения. Государственными членами ЕАЭС движет общее понимание необходимости тесной кооперации как мощного источника развития национальных экономик. Наш союз создан для укрепления торгово-экономического взаимодействия государств, как внутри постсоветского пространства, так и за его пределами. И в основу этого проекта, это очень важно, принципы равноправия, прозрачности, недискриминации, взаимного уважения и учета интересов всех участников. Россия со своей стороны готова быть надежным и предсказуемым партнером для всех, кто желает развивать с Союзом взаимовыгодные связи. И эти же подходы лежат в основе нашего заинтересованного участия в реализации идей гармонизации усилий ЕАЭС, ШОС, АСЕАН и других региональных и субрегиональных структур. Все это могло бы сформировать большое евразийское экономическое партнерство с участием самого широкого круга стран АТР. Важной составляющей этого процесса мы также рассматриваем сопряжение интеграционных проектов ЕАЭС и «Один пояс, один путь». И первые успехи уже налицо, мы знаем. Заинтересованность в налаживании сотрудничества с ЕАЭС уже выразили около 50 государств. В мае подписано соглашение о свободной торговле с Вьетнамом. Недавно завершились переговоры по соглашению о торгово-экономическом сотрудничестве с Китаем. На финальной стадии находится работа с Ираном. начаты переговоры с Сингапуром, прорабатывается возможность заключения соглашения о свободной торговле с АСЕАН. В перспективных планах проработка вопроса о запуске переговоров с Индией. То есть буквально на наших глазах складывается уже большое евразийское партнерство. Господин председатель, говоря об общих задачах по укреплению экономической интеграции и сотрудничеству в ВТР, нельзя не отметить особую миссию ESCAP. Мы рассматриваем комиссию как наиболее представительную и универсальную региональную структуру системы ООН в этой части света. Ей принадлежит важнейшая роль в определении стратегического вектора международных усилий в области социально-экономической дипломатии. Мы со своей стороны стремимся подкреплять деятельность ESCAP. С 2009 года Россия ежегодно вносит добровольный взнос в ESCAP в размере $1,2 миллиона США. И за счет этих средств профинансировано множество проектов, которые находятся в центре внимания сегодняшней конференции. Это торговля и инвестиции, транспорт, энергетика. И мы планируем и дальше обеспечивать наше деятельное участие в проектной деятельности ESCAP на благо всех государств-членов. В завершении, господин председатель, и мы понимаем, что, может быть, это получилось несколько длинное выступление, но мы убеждены, что министерская конференция – это именно тот уровень и та возможность, когда нужно откровенно и глубоко взглянуть на проблемы. Итак, в заключение, господин председатель. Сегодня Азиатско-Тихоокеанский регион – это влиятельный центр мировой экономической и финансовой активности. Это притягательная арена сотрудничества, обладающая мощным потенциалом конструктивного сопряжения интересов всех стран. Политику России в этом регионе, как и в других регионах, отличает взвешенный характер, нацеленность на выработку объединительной повестки дня. В реализации этих целей мы опираемся на прочный фундамент двусторонних отношений с государствами региона. Со многими из которых нас связывают проверенные временем узы дружбы и многопланового сотрудничества. На 70-й сессии Генеральной Ассамблеи ООН президент России Владимир Путин подчеркнул, что, цитирую, в противоположность политике эксклюзивности мы предлагаем гармонизацию региональных экономических проектов, так называемую интеграцию интеграции, основанную на универсальных, прозрачных принципах международной торговли. Видим в этом залог успешного решения странами региона насущных социально-экономических задач и намерены твердо следовать этим путем. Я искренне благодарю вас за внимание. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Asim Iftikhar Ahmad, Ambassador of Pakistan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the Pakistan delegation, I would like to commend the co-hosting of this important conference by the ESCAP and the ADB. I would like to thank the Executive Secretary for her detailed and insightful opening remarks this morning that set the stage for our deliberations. Many of the challenges and opportunities highlighted by the Executive Secretary have also been echoed by other member states in their statements. We also appreciate the distinguished panelists for enlightening us on RECI's role in advancing the 2030 agenda, as well as the important and cross-cutting aspect of connectivity. Mr. Chairman, it goes without saying that regional economic cooperation and integration has vast potential for accelerating inclusive economic growth and development, and reducing poverty and economic disparity within and across the countries. By enhancing interdependence and interlinkages, RECI also contributes to regional peace and stability, harmony, and greater people-to-people contacts. It can be an important factor in conflict prevention and resolution. In fact, RECI can be the mechanism to put in place and practice what we often say, the interlinkage between peace and development. RECI is therefore both a multidimensional concept and a process that facilitates shared prosperity through increased connectivity and flow of goods, services, capital, and people. We also know that global economic landscape has changed dramatically. The main drivers of this change include technology, trade liberalization, cross-border supply chains, capital movement, advances in communication and transportation infrastructure. Bilateral and multilateral and regional cooperation and initiatives have sought to capture this change in order to benefit from the opportunities that it offers. I think we would do ourselves a lot of good collectively if we have a vision of these initiatives as reinforcing one another and as mechanisms for coordination and cooperation, to bring greater harmony and synergy in our efforts for achieving development and prosperity. As we heard this morning, the level of economic cooperation and integration has been uneven in different regions of Asia Pacific. We need to do more to bridge these gaps. And in order to be inclusive, development plans and cooperation initiatives must fully take into account the specific circumstances and needs of the least developing countries, the landlocked developing countries, and the small island developing states. This is crucial in order to exploit the full potential of the Asia-Pacific region in an equitable and mutually beneficial manner. Ladies and gentlemen, it is essentially our belief and commitment to international cooperation and multilateralism that drives our endeavors related to regional cooperation and integration. This is the choice between globalization, interdependence, and multilateralism on one hand, and narrow nationalism, protectionism, and unilateralism on the other. As we have heard other speakers, it is only multilateral cooperation that has delivered so far and can provide the way forward. Agenda 2030, the SDGs, the Addis Ababa outcome on financing for development, the Sendai framework, the Paris Agreement are all fruits of momentum generated by multilateral cooperation. I think same level of commitment is required for effective follow-up and full implementation of these international agreements. In particular, concerted efforts are imperative for fulfilling the obligations for means of implementation, particularly on financing. Mr. Chairman, Pakistan's commitment to regional economic cooperation and integration is long-standing. It is in line with the government's policy of peaceful neighborhood, which envisions friendly and cooperative relations for promoting peace and development in the region. And we have come a long way in our journey of regional cooperation. We are members of numerous regional and sub-regional organizations and part of several important regional initiatives. These, we believe, are building blocks for achieving the global development goals. Our progress has been particularly significant in recent years. Just to note some of the highlights, Pakistan hosted the 5th Ministerial Conference of Heart of Asia Istanbul process in December 2015. We also hosted the Economic Cooperation Organization, ECO Summit in Islamabad in March 2017, importantly under the theme Connectivity for Regional Prosperity. We also remain attached to the SAARC process and would have normally hosted the SAARC summit last year, but for lack of cooperation and genuine commitment by some others. We have progressively strengthened our relations with ASEAN, with which we are seeking a full dialogue partnership. In June 2017, together with India, Pakistan became a full member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO. A phenomenal development during this period is the Belt and Road Initiative of China. This mega development project signifies that geoeconomics should take precedence over geopolitics. Pakistan is a proud partner in One Belt, One Road, of which the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is a flagship project. This is a symbol of Pakistan-China strategic relationship. CPEC makes Pakistan both a conduit and a destination for cross-regional investment and trade. Unprecedented economic and social benefits will accrue from CPEC. Fully compatible with Pakistan's development blueprint, Vision 2025, CPEC, through its induced high level of growth, will be instrumental in helping Pakistan achieve our development goals. Coinciding with this is the visible resurgence of our economy, stable macroeconomic indicators, rising growth, vibrant stock exchange, and a prosperous and growing middle class. The economic strategy anchored on rising incomes, consumption, and production will propel Pakistan towards greater prosperity. We are confident to keep this momentum and to continue to invest and engage further in regional cooperation and integration. Mr. Chairman, the Bangkok Declaration of 2013 contains the basic framework for RECI in Asia Pacific. The draft ministerial declaration that we have agreed during this second conference provides an important complement and further policy directions which we should strive to pursue in the months ahead. Significantly, the declaration acknowledges and emphasizes the valuable role of regional and sub-regional initiatives in promoting economic cooperation and integration. Pakistan is fully committed to take forward this common agenda in partnership with all member states. I thank you.
Thank you. The next delegation on my list is Armenia, but I don't see a delegate from Armenia. So let's go next to India. Mr. Praveen Bonigala, Director of the Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. I give you the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies and distinguished delegates. The 4 pillars of RECI are central to sustain the growth of the economies of the region. It is also acknowledged that RECI can play a critical role in accelerating the process of achieving the 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development. It is also stressed that regional initiatives implemented for the achievement of these goals have also to be understood from a local, national perspective. Greater cohesion among our economies is fundamental for building a stable, empowered, and secure world. India reaffirms the principles of common but differentiated responsibilities. Effective integration and cooperation approaches, respecting the concerns of all the partners, is crucial for the success of all regional market integration initiatives. Regional connectivity issues are important economic and diplomatic measures. India is of the firm view that regional initiatives must be based on universally recognized international norms, openness, rule of law, transparency, and equality. They must also follow principles of financial responsibility and must be pursued in a manner that respects sovereignty and territorial integrity. India remains committed to the vision of a broader Asia and Pacific community in the region, united by an integrated market, backed by strong financial entities, linked by efficient physical connectivity, and increased disaster resilience to facilitate all the countries in realizing their potential. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, sir. I now give the floor to Mr. M. Hassan Surus, Acting Director General, Ministry of Foreign Affairs from Afghanistan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the outset, allow me to congratulate you on your election as the chair of this conference. I would like to also thank Madam Executive Secretary and her able team for the excellent arrangements and preparation of the conference documents, including the report on enhancing regional economic cooperation and integration in Asia and the Pacific. I also wish to thank the government of Thailand and the Asian Development Bank for supporting the organization of this conference. This conference provides an excellent opportunity to take a stock of the progress made with respect to the commitments and recommendations made under the Bangkok Declaration, identify challenges and bottlenecks, as well as build consensus around concrete actions that need to be taken towards deepening regional economic cooperation and integration in the wider Asia and the Pacific region. Our gathering today takes place at a juncture when the need for regional economic cooperation and integration is greater than ever across the wider region. Today's conference is a timely gathering, and we hope that our deliberations will yield successful outcomes. Mr. Chairman, over the recent years, Asia and the Pacific region has witnessed growing regional economic cooperation efforts. Thanks to such collective efforts, regional economic cooperation has taken root in various sub-regions, building a solid foundation for benefiting from the enormous economic opportunities that exist across the wider region. This trend is based on the recognition that regional economic cooperation is crucial for economic growth and sustainable development through enhancing connectivity and competitiveness, generating greater productivity, lowering transaction costs, and expanding markets. As both studies and experiences show, there is a positive correlation between regional economic cooperation and economic growth. Regional economic cooperation can facilitate trade, investment, as well as transfer of knowledge, which is critical for productivity and growth. Regional economic cooperation can also serve as an important enabler for the implementation of various global development agendas. To this end, however, there is need for greater coherence and synergy between regional economic cooperation platforms and initiatives and the development agendas. Mr. Chairman, over the past decade, a new wave of regional economic cooperation efforts has been centered on Afghanistan, leading to the formation of two prominent Afghanistan-focused regional economic cooperation frameworks, namely the Regional Economic Cooperation Conference on Afghanistan, RECI, and the Heart of Asia Istanbul process. The 7th Regional Economic Cooperation Conference on Afghanistan was convened under the theme Deepening Connectivity and Expanding Trade through investment in infrastructure and improving synergy in Ashgabat, Turkmenistan on 14 to 15 November 2017. The conference brought together high-level delegations and senior representatives from over 67 countries and organizations. The 7th Ministerial meeting of the Heart of Asia Istanbul process will also be convened on December 1st this year in Baku, Azerbaijan, providing another valuable opportunity to discuss the priority regional cooperation issues in our part of the world. With an increasing number of participating countries and organizations and its growing structure, RECI is now a leading regional cooperation platform for cross-border economic cooperation in important areas such as energy, transport networks, trade and transit facilitation, communications, business-to-business partnerships, and labor support. Since the first RECI meeting in Kabul in 2005, we have made strides to realize our vision for utilizing the benefits of Afghanistan's centrality as a land bridge between Central Asia, South Asia, China, Middle East, and Europe towards unlocking the huge potential for regional, inter-regional, and continental connectivity and trade. The RECI Annual Review 2017 suggests that there has been promising progress made in implementing multiple regional cooperation and investment projects, including the Tapi gas pipeline project between Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India, Kasa 1000 electricity transmission line between the Kyrgyz Republic, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, the Five Nations Railway project between China, the Kyrgyz Republic, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Iran, the Belt and Road Initiative, the Chabahar corridor between India, Iran, and Afghanistan, as well as the Digital Silk Road. Last week, on the sidelines of RECA 7s in Ashgabat, the Lapis Lazuli route agreement was signed among the contracting parties, namely Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey, marking a milestone in the collective efforts in our part of the world towards deepening regional economic cooperation and integration through improving both transport infrastructure and procedures. In our view, the implementation of the Lapis Lazuli route agreement will not only enhance regional economic cooperation and connectivity among the contracting parties, but will also contribute significantly to the Eurasian continental trade and transport network. These achievements will provide enormous economic opportunities for the citizens of our countries in the wider region. On the other hand, however, there is need for intensified efforts in addressing the challenges that still hamper the full realization of regional cooperation in various sub-regions. First, as highlighted in the UNESCAP report, infrastructure connectivity within and between countries in the wider Asian and Pacific region, particularly in countries with special needs, is underdeveloped. The wider Central Asia-South Asia region is also facing infrastructure gaps. Therefore, infrastructure financing remains crucial. In this context, there is a need for enhanced collective efforts to ensure a coalition of public and private sources in support of the common priority infrastructure projects. As recommended in the UNESCAP report, a special focus needs to be placed on innovative financing modalities such as public-private partnerships. Second, despite the immense potential for trade complementarity in the wider Central South Asia region, the actual trade remains minimal. Along with physical infrastructure development, there is need for improvement in soft infrastructure as an important component of seamless connectivity. We need to focus our attention on important issues such as policy coordination, customs harmonization, removal of non-tariff barriers, visa facilitation, improved communications, and enhanced air connectivity. And lastly, Asia and the Pacific region can significantly benefit from greater synergies and complementarities between regional cooperation platforms as well as between transport and transit corridors in the vast Eurasian region. We believe that RECA is well positioned to contribute to this end. Mr. Chairman, as I conclude, I would like to reiterate that addressing our common challenges and utilizing the enormous economic opportunities in our wider region requires shared responsibility and integrated approach. Afghanistan, on its part, is committed to making the most of its centrality as a regional hub for trade and transit, as well as its WTO membership to the benefit of sustainable development and stability in the wider region. Looking to the future, we are confident that with greater synergy and under a coherent approach, our collective efforts will move us closer to our common vision for enhanced regional economic cooperation and integration. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I now give the floor to the distinguished delegate from Armenia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me start by congratulating you on your election as the chair of this August Forum and expressing my sincere gratitude to the Thai government, to the ESCAP and Asian Development Bank for hosting and organizing this conference, and to wish us all efficient and productive work. I have the honor and privilege to reiterate from this distinguished podium that Armenia deems the cooperation with the ESCAP as one of the very important directions within the framework of regional cooperation. The government of the Republic of Armenia attaches special attention to the regional multilateral cooperation and implementation of the main objectives of the Agenda 2030, as well as Vienna Action Programme for landlocked developing countries for the decade 2014-2024. Situated at the crossroads of different continents, Armenia has always bridged various civilizations, thus becoming a very important center for the cultural and trade exchanges. Modern Armenia adheres to a strategy designed to build bridges among its major trading, economic and political partners. Being a landlocked country with scarce energy resources, having closed borders with two neighboring countries, we have never bent to difficulties. On the contrary, these factors became a locomotive to move forward with the creative ideas and ingenuity of our people. Thanks to highly skilled labor force, our human capital, today Armenia has become an innovative country which offers high technology solutions. Efforts aimed at the development of information and telecommunication technologies today yield results. In recent years, Armenia has been registering 20–25% growth in this area, with its share in its GDP equal to 4%. To promote development of ICT, the government provided tax privileges to the IT startups, exempting them from profit tax. The first wave of reforms in Armenia has laid solid foundations for the package of the second generation of improvements targeted at the increasing of the country's competitiveness and the modernization of the economy, accentuating the shift toward a knowledge-based economy. There are two free economic zones in Armenia, specialized in high technology and innovations, as well as in jewelry and watchmaking. Armenia is sparing no efforts to overcome the challenges it's facing, while actively involving itself into international, regional, and sub-regional integration processes. In Armenia, a favorable framework for business and investments is created, which is stated by many renowned international rankings. The World Bank 2017 Doing Business report gave Armenia the 38th rank among 190 countries. Moreover, the country ranks the 9th with regard to the subcomponent of simplicity of starting business. As for the Economic Freedom 2017 Index of the Heritage Foundation, Armenia is currently the 33rd among 180 countries, having improved the position by 25 notches compared with the previous year. The current policy of the Armenian government is aimed at bypassing the obstacles and limitations and increasing country's limited internal market. As it was mentioned already by my distinguished Russian colleague, Armenia also is a member of Eurasian Economic Union, union which is created for regional economic integration and which provides for free movement of goods, services, capital and labor, pursues coordinated, harmonized and single policy in the sectors determined by the treaty and international agreements within this union. Through Armenia's membership in Eurasian Economic Union, our partners may have customs-free access to more than 180 million consumers. Today, Armenia enjoys the generalized system of preferences, GSP, with Canada, with Japan, Switzerland, Norway, USA, as well as GSP Plus regime with European Union, which offers us export of more than 6,400 Armenian products to Europe on preferential terms. Due to the development of productive cooperation in different directions, Armenia may serve as a bridge between Eurasian Economic Union and other economic blocs, the European Union countries associated with it, also with Iran and countries of Near East. The new comprehensive and expanded partnership agreement with the European Union will open new opportunities for the economic activities not only for Armenia, but also for the European business community. A common border and visa-free regime with the Islamic Republic of Iran opens up a market of 80 million consumers. Historically friendly relations with Georgia give us access to the Black Sea ports, as well as safeguard Armenia's trade turnover with the Russian Federation, other EU countries and the European Union. The forthcoming opening of the major infrastructure projects such as North-South Highway corridor will make Armenia the shortest transit road connecting Persian Gulf to the Black Sea ports. The energy sector of Armenia is currently one of the fully operational and cost-effective branches of the country's economy. Armenia not only fully covers its energy demand in the internal market, but also exports electricity to Georgia, as well as successfully performs an electricity exchange with Iran on mutually beneficial basis. The Armenia's energy sector is characterized as well-balanced and functioning system, which is more typical for the developed countries. The shares of power generation from nuclear, thermal, and renewable capacities are almost equal. Mr. Chairman, Agenda 2030 reconfirms that unilateral economic measures are detrimental to sustainable development. We believe that unimpeded contacts, open borders, free movement of goods, and equal, inclusive, and non-discriminatory regional cooperation are the main prerequisites for the development of economic connectivity and integration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I now give the floor to Mr. Muhammad Shamsul Alam from Bangladesh.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Shamsul Alam. Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. I'd like to thank UN, ESCAP, and ADB for arranging this important meeting timely. I'd also like to congratulate Mr. Chair for assuming the chair and running it very efficiently. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh actively participated in the first Ministerial Conference of Regional Economic Cooperation and Integration in 2013 and actively participated in formulation of Bangkok Declaration. Bangladesh was one of the sponsors of the ESCAP Resolution 70/1, which endorsed the Bangkok Declaration in 2014 in Commission 7th session. Bangladesh is aware Asia Pacific is the most potential part of the world. As we know, most of the world poor people are living in this region. Bangladesh is highly committed to implement Bangkok Declaration. The 4 areas which are the key pillars of Bangkok Declaration are equally important for all the member countries. Without the regional cooperation and integration, it is not possible for countries in the region to achieve 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh is highly committed to achieve SDGs within stipulated time. Government is giving its highest priority for achieving these goals. Our planning documents, that is 5-year plan, has successfully integrated SDGs goals and targets for implementation. We will implement SDGs through our own national planning tool. As you know, SDGs is comprised of huge targets. It is very difficult for a country to achieve these goals, targets, without huge investment. For providing resources to achieve global goals, regional cooperation by market integration is very important. Trade within the region is very important tools for increasing resource mobilization, and it should make more easier and particularly non-tariff barrier free. As we know, tariff and other legal barriers are the one side obstacle, and the other side obstacle are different non-tariff barriers. Growing protectionism and nationalistic attitude is the biggest barrier now emerging. So, for our greater interest, we should remove all barriers and work together for attaining market integration. Seamless connectivity is one of the key drivers for regional cooperation and integration. Connectivity concerning transport, energy, ICT, economic connectivity, and people-to-people connectivity can make an integrated society among the region. Bangladesh believes trade is the key means to achieve SDGs, and it is the main driver for resource mobilization and attaining resource use efficiency. Like other LDCs, Bangladesh is also facing lots of challenges to increase its trade due to different tariff and non-tariff barriers, as I already mentioned, and protectionism. Bangladesh is always raising its voice against these tariff and non-tariff barriers. Bangladesh is demanding full implementation of WTO ministerial decision on duty-free, quota-free access for LDCs. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh is giving emphasis to untapped potential of enabling cross-border mobility of labor. Bangladesh is always supporting the Global Compact on safe, regular, and orderly migration. As one of the largest migrant-sending country, Bangladesh strongly demands to ensure the rights and status of migrants for ensuring full and potential use of labor forces in resource creation in the recipient countries. Bangladesh actively supports the framework agreement on facilitation of cross-border paperless trade, which is one of the important initiatives of ESCAP. Bangladesh is one of the first signatories of the framework agreement of cross-border paperless trade, along with China and Cambodia. Bangladesh is hoping trade among the countries will be more easier and less costly after the implementation of this agreement. Bangladesh has taken initiatives for attraction of FDI. FDI brings capital and technologies. Bangladesh is working to establish 100 free economic zones for attraction of FDIs. Besides this, government also declares different kinds of incentive for foreign investment, including tax holiday, returning their capital to their own countries. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh is supporting to proper use of existing regional platform for increasing trade among the region. Bangladesh ensures its support to ESCAP initiatives for trade facilitation and remove different obstacles and barriers for increasing trade among the member states. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh is giving its priority to establish connectivity and cooperation with all its neighbors. Bangladesh is actively participated in Asian Highway, Trans-Asian Railway initiatives of ESCAP. Bangladesh is working to develop its part of Asian Highway and Trans-Asian Railway in international standard. Bangladesh is working with ESCAP to harmonization of standard specification rules for cross-border connectivity. Bangladesh is also one of the parties in Dry Ports Agreement. Bangladesh actively participates in all regional initiatives like SASEC, BCIM, BIMSTEC, BBIN. Bangladesh is working to explore all types of opportunities to promote regional cooperation. Bangladesh has established road, rail, and marine connectivity with India. Bangladesh already established energy connectivity with India. Bangladesh is also giving the importance to establish energy connectivity with its neighbors, including Nepal and Bhutan. We know South Asia has tremendous prospect in hydropower. Bhutan and Nepal have vast untapped power potential, which can address the crisis in this region in particular. Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Nepal has more potentials and possibility of energy cooperation and energy trade. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh strongly supports ESCAP initiative to facilitate Asia-Pacific Information Superhighway. Bangladesh sponsored a resolution in last Commission session to establish and promote Asia-Pacific Information Superhighway in the region. Bangladesh proposed 2 amendment proposals in the Intergovernmental Agreement on Asian Highway and Trans-Asian Highway for cohabitation of Asia-Pacific Information Superhighway along with Asian Highway and Trans-Asian Highway for cost-effective and potential use of ICT. Bangladesh is seeking support from all member states in this regard. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh strongly believes finance is the critical means for implementation of 2030 agenda. Bangladesh is demanding all international forum for financial support and cooperation for LDCs for the implementation of global agenda, which they committed internationally under Goal 17. Bangladesh raised a strong voice in Addis Ababa meeting and also actively raised same voice in all regional level meetings. Bangladesh is working for maintaining macroeconomic stability. The fiscal policy and monetary policy of the country is directed to achieve a steady growth and mobilizing domestic resources to the development of the country. Government is working to increase tax GDP ratio under the dynamic leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Bangladesh has been achieving more than 7% growth over the last couple of years. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh is one of the pioneer countries who has achieved remarkable development in financial inclusion. Bangladesh is one of the role model countries in microcredit financing. It was highly praised for international communities for its tremendous success in microcredit financing. Most of the beneficiaries of microcredit are women. We always strongly support ESCAP initiative for financial inclusion in the region for regional cooperation and integration. Mr. Chair, every year we incur 1.8% of GDP loss due to natural disasters. Bangladesh is one of the 6 disaster-prone countries in the world. But country has developed a resilience to face disasters, and by this, Bangladesh has become a role model in region to face the disaster successfully and minimizing the loss. Bangladesh expected the regional averages for the Asia-Pacific in the Hyogo Framework of Action Progress Report in 2013 and scored a higher than the average score in every category, including early warning system, risk assessment, DRR policy, and preparedness for effective response. Bangladesh earned these scores by implementing various national plans and through the institutions of the necessary legal framework to support disaster risk reduction and climate change participation. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh is one of the major victims of global warming and climate change. Bangladesh strongly supports one of the key areas of regional economic cooperation and integration, addressing shared responsibilities and risks. If the regional initiative is not taken to share the vulnerabilities and risks of countries, those who are climate vulnerable, it will be very difficult for these countries to achieve global agenda for sustainable development. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh is eagerly working with ESCAP and other regional organizations to minimize the losses of disaster in the area of disaster risk reduction. Bangladesh is highly committed to full implementation of Sendai Framework of Action on Disaster Risk Reduction. Bangladesh actively working in 4 major areas which are mentioned in the Sendai Framework of Action on DRR. Bangladesh is actively participating in ESCAP Tsunami Trust Fund and eagerly working with neighbors in the area of disaster risk reduction. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh strongly believes for forging regional cooperation among the member states, the region will be able to overcome all the challenges and obstacles of development. For ensuring a better life and achieving SDGs, the region needs to team up and work together in coherent manner. Thank you very much for allowing me speaking.
Thank you, sir. I now give the floor to Mr. Sang-Po Soo, Deputy Director General of the International Economics Affairs Bureau, Ministry of Foreign Affairs from the Republic of Korea.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me the floor. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to ESCAP Secretariat and the Asia Development Bank for organizing this second Ministerial Conference on Regional Economic Cooperation and Integration. This meeting is very opportune given that since the first conference adopted the Bangkok Declaration 4 years ago, there have been significant changes in our policy environment, such as the adoption of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Paris Agreement on Climate Change. These changes need to be considered on our way forward for RECI. In particular, as discussed in the high-level dialogue on the same topic in April, RECI and the 2030 Agenda are mutually reinforcing processes and should be forced in a way supporting each other. Mr. Chair, thanks to the effort for ESCAP and its members in channeling resources into the 4 pillars of RECI, we have met with certain success. The Republic of Korea will continue to contribute to these efforts. My government is particularly active in the development of a seamless connectivity in Asia and the Pacific. President Moon Jae-in suggested to start our effort to establish Northeast Asia Supergrid last September when he visited Vladivostok. Recently, the government of the Republic of Korea also announced its plan to expand the people-to-people exchange and pursue prosperity by creating synergies through complementing economic structure with the Southeast Asian countries. These efforts that will enhance economic, social, and energy cooperation would unlock the potential of the region, leading to a better connected region including a wider regional energy community. Information and communication connectivity in the region is crucial in this highly connected world. Aware of the importance, the Republic of Korea has participated in establishing a master plan and framework for cooperation with ESCAP's Asia-Pacific Information Superhighway Initiative. Believing that market integration and free trade in the multi-trading system be the driving force for economic growth in the region, we have actively participated in the regional initiatives such as EFTA, RCEP, and EFTA, free trade area of the Asia-Pacific. Within ESCAP, the Republic of Korea has also engaged in trade facilitation efforts along with capacity buildings for developing countries. Capacity building on EFTA promotion is one of our biggest ESCAP projects. We hope our efforts could significantly contribute to the achievement of the SDGs on poverty reduction, zero hunger, and economic growth. Even though I don't enumerate my government's effort for regional financial cooperation and addressing vulnerabilities and risks, the government will do its part with priority. Let me conclude my remarks by sharing with the ESCAP members a couple of points for more effectiveness in pursuing RECI. First point is the full utilization of existing evaluation index developed in ESCAP and other regional IOs so that we can more accurately stress where we stand in terms of implementation of the Bangkok Declaration. It would be useful to understand how the policies and initiatives that have been laid out by the participants here contribute to our overall missions. In this regard, we note the ESCAP Secretariat mentioned data, statistics, and policy coherence as the areas to focus on in the recent publication of the roadmap for the 2030 agenda. We also note the work of ASEAN Development Bank of coming up with a new composite index for regional cooperation and integration. Second, we expect increasing the coordination and interaction with other regional subsidiary bodies of the ECOSOC and other global forums would create synergy in attaining regional integration and sustainable development. The fund of FELAC, Forum for East Asia Latin American Cooperation, established at FELAC Foreign Ministers meeting in Busan, Korea last August, is a great example of regional bodies coming together for a common cause. As Executive Secretary Akhtar mentioned, this fund will create new opportunities, especially to support enhancement and diversification of trade by promoting innovation and tackling trade barriers, thus contributing to RECI. Finally, I would like to commend all the efforts and flexibility by the ESCAP members in coming up with an agreed text of the declaration of this conference. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I now recognize Mr. Alauddin Anwar, Deputy Director General from the Economic Planning Unit in the Prime Minister's office in Malaysia.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, on behalf of the Malaysian delegation, let me first congratulate you on your chairmanship. We also like to express our appreciation to the ESCAP Secretariat and the ADB for the excellent meeting arrangement and hospitality. Our congratulations to ESCAP for its 70 years and the ADB for its 50 years of commitments towards improving the well-being of the people in Asia and the Pacific regions. Mr. Chairman, Malaysia welcomes the UN ESCAP 2017 report on enhancing regional economic cooperation and integration in Asia and the Pacific to support the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. We firmly believe that the initiative guided by the Sustainable Development Framework will contribute towards promoting socio-economic development, growth and income, increasing quality of life of the population, as well as narrowing the development gaps. Since SDG global adoption in 2015, Malaysia continues to be committed in implementing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and ensuring the achievements of the SDG. Malaysia has aligned the SDG principles with our current 11th Malaysia Plan covering the period 2016 to 2020, with the theme anchoring growth on people, which entrench SDG on all facets of the Malaysian's development. A national SDG roadmap is being established to guide implementation of the Agenda 2030, and Malaysia has participated in the voluntary national review at the UN High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development in July 2017. Currently, we are in the process of localizing the SDGs at the sub-national levels, mobilizing resources and fundings, strengthening data readiness, and fulfilling data gaps to develop a comprehensive data set for SDG implementation. Mr. Chairman, Malaysia concurs with the findings and recommendations on the 4 areas of RECI. With regard to market integration, we are leveraging on the existing platforms on regional cooperations and trade arrangements to achieve greater market integrations as underlined under the ASEAN Economic Community or EEC 2025 and in line with the 2030 Agenda. However, Malaysia is on the firm belief that market integrations must be pursued in the manner that mutually benefit the countries to uplift socio-economic levels of people, contribute to further reducing disparities, and ensure sustainability of the environment. Malaysia, through our engagement in multilateral bodies including the WTO and the APEC, will continue to support work towards reducing barriers to trade and investment, enhancing trade facilitation and connectivity within the regions. Under ASEAN, Malaysia will work tirelessly towards speedy and efficient implementation of the ASEAN Single Window, ASEAN Self-Certification System, as well as accelerating work on standard and conformance. This aim to further reduce the cost of doing business by reducing and dismantling unnecessary burdensome regulatory procedure to the business community. Malaysia also acknowledged the opportunities offered by the seamless connectivity through connections of transport, energy and ICT sectors, which increases efficiency in line with the 2030 Agenda. Issues such as the missing railway links, substandard roads, costly and time-consuming transloading of goods at border crossings, different standards, and lack of public-private and private-private interaction are being addressed. The construction of the Kuala Lumpur-Singapore high-speed rail will in the near future provide better connectivity between Malaysia and Singapore, while the East Coast rail link will provide the second rail link to connect Malaysia and Thailand. Under the ASEAN Power Grid initiatives, Malaysia has joined in the multilateral electricity trading between Laos, PDR, and Thailand. And we are also addressing issues in the ICT sector, namely on affordability, quality, and bridging the digital divide. Mr. Chairman, in the area of financial cooperation, Malaysia has launched the Green Sukuk financing scheme as an innovative way to provide global funding for sustainable development projects under the Sustainable and Responsible Investment Framework. This is in cooperation between the Malaysian Securities Commission, the Central Bank of Malaysia, and the World Bank Group in an effort to develop an ecosystem to facilitate the growth of green sukuk and introduce innovative financial instruments to address global infrastructure and green financing needs. Malaysia also recognized the need for inclusive and consistent strategies, approaches, and tools for building resilience to disasters, as well as to provide capacity building and support to high-risk countries but with low capacities. Several initiatives undertaken by Malaysia include the establishment of the National Disaster Management Agency, establishment of disaster fund, development of high-risk mapping, development of national geospatial terrain and slope information system, as well as participation in the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015. Our disaster management work has been recognized internationally among the best serving the need of the people. We continue to participate in regional cooperation in disaster management and humanitarian assistance in sharing our expertise and experiences in handling and managing disasters. Mr. Chairman, I take this opportunity to assure our utmost support towards the work undertaken by ESCAP and its team members, particularly in implementing the 4 pillars of RECI. We are committed towards work in deepening the economic integration in the regions and aims towards more inclusive and sustainable framework that will benefit all members. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. I now give the floor to Mr. Hong Li, Permanent Representative of China to ESCAP.
主席先生，首先，请允许我代表中国代表团，祝贺您担任本届会议主席。相信在您的领导下，会议一定会取得圆满成功。我要感谢亚太经社会秘书处为会议的召开所做的大量工作。中方认为，本次会议是2013年曼谷宣言之后本地区合作中的又一件大事。中方期待会议就区域合作和一体化制定新的战略，确立新的行动框架，推进亚太经济复苏和繁荣。亚太是全球最具活力和最具增长潜力的地区，本地区的经济合作和一体化进程对推动全球经济的复苏和持续向好具有重要意义。中方支持将曼谷宣言确立的4个支柱继续作为区域合作的优先。对后续推进，我们有如下主张：一，应继续坚持开放型经济，努力实现互利共赢。开放带来进步，封闭没有出路。亚太区域经济合作和一体化进程应该始终坚持开放、包容、普惠的方向，实现合作共赢。要通过合力构建开放型亚太经济，促进贸易和投资自由化与便利化。ESCAP 在维护多边贸易体制、促进区域贸易便利化方面一直发挥着非常积极的作用。面对新的全球和区域形势 ，ESCAP 应更加侧重帮助发展中成员从贸易和投资中获得更多利益。第二，继续加强互联互通，促进联动发展。近年来，亚太国家区域内贸易和投资均呈快速增长势头。区域互联互通将强化这一态势，并为各方联动发展提供新的动力，也会扩大区域发展空间。要坚持 ESCAP 业已确立的区域合作框架，推动建立全方位、多层次、复合型的亚太交通、通讯、能源等基础设施互联互通网络，增强其抵御脆弱性的能力。同时，要通过互联互通带动产能合作，带动实体经济的辐射发展和产业链的延伸。三，强化可持续发展合作。区域合作和一体化必须顺应2030年可持续发展议程的要求，更加重视 经济、社会、环境的综合统筹。当前形势下，尤其要加大对生态和环境的保护，要更加强调一体化合作的包容性，让不同国家、不同阶层都能享受到发展的红利。主席先生，中方提出的“一带一路”倡议，勾画了在古老的丝绸之路沿线打造政策沟通、设施联通、贸易畅通、资金融通、民心相通的融合发展前景。“一带一路”是开放和一体化发展的典型载体，是实践人类命运共同体建设的合作平台。中方感谢 ESCAP 各方对“一带一路”的宝贵支持和参与。中方相信，“一带一路”与 ESCAP 亚太经济合作和区域一体化进程，从内容到地域到合作方式，都具有很高的契合度和相似性，两者之间合作空间巨大。中方愿本着共商、共建、共享的精神，深化与各方在 ESCAP 框架下的合作，为亚太区域的普遍繁荣和可持续发展作出贡献。谢谢主席先生。
Thank you very much. I now give the floor to Mr. Hitoshi Kozaki, First Secretary and Deputy Permanent Representative of Japan to ESCAP.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, my delegation would like to express its happiness to see you once again leading the discussion of the ESCAP meeting. And also, I'd like to thank the Secretariat, Hamza, for taking extra time to do this job, despite of the fact that you have to deal with yet another committee in 10 days' time. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The government of Japan has established the Sustainable Development Goals Promotion Headquarters, headed by the Prime Minister, to implement SDGs at home and to promote international cooperation with the whole of government approach. The guidelines for Japan's guideline for Japan's SDG implementation places priority on women's empowerment, universal healthcare coverage, creating growth market, promoting disaster risk reduction, promoting quality infrastructure, energy conservation, renewable energy, and climate change, among others. SDG implementation plan accord priority to the promotion of the economic partnership agreement, such as TPP, RCEP, AJCEP, which is the comprehensive economic partnership among Japan and ASEAN countries, and the conclusion and revision of the trade and investment treaties and agreement in relation to Goal 8, as well as the promotion of trade and investment through the use of offshore development assistance, ODA, with partnership among public and private sectors, including through the promotion of quality infrastructure investment in relation to Goal 17. Turning to the specific issue of trade facilitation, we noted that the adoption of the framework agreement on paper trade facilitation, and that the government expressed its position at the adoption, which is while supporting the promotion of paperless trade and e-commerce, such legalistic framework agreement is not the best forward. In relation to the movement of people across national borders, Japan does not implement migration policy per se, but receives skilled and professional workers of foreign nationalities in accordance with its national law and policies, and it continues to study the matter further through the whole of government approach and in consideration of national consensus in this regard. Concerning technical assistance on the tax matters, the government finds a platform for collaboration on tax PCT, in which UN also participate, is an effective platform for collaboration among international organizations. sharing experiences and promoting cooperation on capacity building mentioned in the report of the Secretariat could only be pursued in closer cooperation and without duplicating effort with the PTC and the ADB. With regard to the disaster risk reduction, it should be recalled that emphasize that the Sendai framework of the DRR emphasis is placed on public and private investment in disaster risk prevention and reduction through structural and non-structural measures to enhance the economic, social health, and cultural resilience. Such measures are cost-effective and instrumental to save lives, prevent and reduce losses, and ensure effective recovery and rehabilitation. In this respect, the government of Japan is cautious about a shift of emphasis on risk financing and transfer mechanisms, including index-based or primary insurances, which rather should be led by international or regional financial institutions such as ADB and the World Bank, which has expertise and comparative advantage in these specific areas. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Perhaps as the final delegate speaking this afternoon, Mr. Kurush Taherfar, who is an advisor at the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs in the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen. In the spirit of cooperation and show of flexibility, my delegation is ready to join the consensus on the proposed draft ministerial declaration on regional economic cooperation and integration that was concluded the day before. However, we would like to underscore a crucial point in addressing the pathway to successful regional economic cooperation and integration. Dear colleagues, one of our mottos in achieving sustainable development is the importance of leaving no one behind and recognizing the imperatives of sustainable development to be supported by policies that facilitate inclusive economic growth and reduce inequalities. In this respect, paying particular attention to the barriers which hamper our individual and joint efforts in achieving our common goal of poverty eradication and a better life is indispensable. Among all, a major barrier is imposing politically motivated extraterritorial and unilateral coercive measures in the form of unjust sanctions and various conditionalities against independent developing countries and nations. Such unlawful restrictions undermine the developing countries' efforts to access finance and technology, boost trade, and engage in a genuine partnership and cooperation with others at the regional level. Therefore, we sincerely urge this forum to carefully address this important issue in its future sessions with the aim of reaching a common understanding of the inhuman nature and the negative impacts of such measures and to consider some remedies to cope with this phenomenon accordingly. At the end, my delegation seeks your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, to ensure that this concern to be eloquently articulated in the final report of this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other delegates who would like to intervene? I don't see any. Could you please turn that microphone? Yeah, thank you. With that statement from the Islamic Republic of Iran, we now conclude the consideration of agenda item 7. Consideration of the remaining agenda items will resume tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in this same conference room. I declare the meeting adjourned.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, one quick announcement. Tomorrow, as we shared earlier, from 9 to 12, there will be a policy seminar on the Belt and Road Initiative organized by ESCAP and the Government of China, which will be followed by lunch. The seminar will take place in Conference Room 4 on level 1 of this conference center, and the lunch will take place at the public foyer in the ground floor. all of you are very cordially invited to attend this special event. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.